Hi, and welcome back. So I'm going to make some changes to my longevity protocol, things that I do and things that I record. And in this video, I'm going to explain to you why I'm doing it and what those changes are going to be. So in today's age of digital distractions and instant gratification, messages about long-term health often fall on deaf ears. Now, Dr. Peter Attia, you may know him. He's a former surgeon turned longevity physician, is known for his rigorous approach to Healthspan. Healthspan is the period of time during our lives in which we're in good health, we're free from serious and chronic illnesses and also any kind of disability. It's not just about how long you live, that's lifespan, but how well you live during those years. Now, the key difference between healthspan and lifespan is that lifespan is actually the total number of years that you're going to live. Whereas healthspan is the number of those years you live or you spend healthily, functional, and also independent. So if you die at the age of 90, that's going to be your lifespan. But if because of chronic diseases such as diabetes, hypertension, osteoporosis, dementia, or kidney disease, you became dependent on others and couldn't do all the things that you wanted to do to remain an active part of society, say at the age of 80, that would be the end of your health span. In short, health span is about adding life to your years, not just adding years to your life. But why does health span really matter? Well, living to an old age without preserving your health span can mean spending many years in pain, with reduced mobility or even cognitive decline. Extending your health span means increasing those years that you feel physically strong, mentally sharp, and able to enjoy your life. Back to Peter Attia, he often talks about the final 10 years of your life and what they might look like. And this final decade, according to him, depends on the decisions that you're making today. He calls this critical window the marginal decade. It's a period often marked by a steep physical decline, also emotional regret and a loss of independence. No matter what you think of Peter Attia, we're all going to have a final decade. He has given it a name so that people can get comfortable talking about it, even though most people don't even like to think about it. Ignoring it, he says, will inevitably lead to an unfavourable outcome. Now, we all know it's going to come, and Peter Attia thinks that we should prepare for it in the way that an athlete would train for an event. Although it's relevant to pretty much anything we do in life. We prepare and train for many things that we all know are going to happen. Things like school examinations, the driving test, job interviews, speeches, physical assessments, and even court hearings. If you prepare and train for your marginal decade, you will live the best version of it. If you ignore it, it could be the worst decade of your life, both physically and emotionally. Not only for you, but also, unfortunately, for all those that are around you. Now, when it comes to the marginal decade, Peter says people don't know the day that they're actually going to enter it, but at some point they will definitely know they're in their final 10 years. The marginal decade, according to Peter Attia, is not something you can defer responsibility for. You don't just arrive at it and then suddenly decide it's about time to start taking care of your health. The level of vitality, freedom, and dignity that you'll experience in the final chapter is dictated by the choices that you're making in your 30s, 40s, 50s and even beyond. This perspective, I suppose, is terrifying and also quite liberating. Terrifying because it forces us to confront the inevitability of aging. Liberating because it implies you have far more control than you think, especially if you start now. The marginal decade is also marked by someone's physical ability to do the things that they really enjoy. Things like playing golf, scuba diving, playing on the floor with your grandkids or your kids, taking hikes in the mountains, etc. And I'm sure you can add many more things to that list. That only takes little things like aches and pains that stop us taking part. And then when this happens, people do tend to retreat from life. I have, and I'm sure you have, all seen this firsthand. The group of friends that I dive with has, unfortunately, over the years, reduced. One friend in particular gained so much weight that initially he needed a lot of help to get into his wetsuit. Now, we all need help to get into our wetsuits at some point, even me being the size I am now. So then, to get around this, he started diving only in the summer. This is because the water is obviously a lot warmer and he didn't need to wear a wetsuit. He could get by with a rash vest and a pair of shorts. Then carrying his equipment became an issue. He would have to rest on the way from the dive resort to the boat, and if we had to wade out to the boat, it would take him a lot longer than everyone else. Now, if you're part of the dive community, you'll know that for us, that wasn't a problem. Everyone would lend a hand and nobody would ever complain. But obviously it took a toll on him psychologically. He then just stopped coming. And when people asked him why, he said he was busy doing other things and wanted to start looking at other sports, maybe like golf. Peter Attia's take on this is that we should think about what we want to do in our marginal decade, and we should train for that. But train specifically in the way, say, that a sprinter would train completely differently to a way that a weightlifter would train. But to do this for longevity would be impossible. There are so many sports, all with different aims and training requirements. So what athlete do you think is the most well-rounded? Peter Attia thinks it's the decathlete, because they have to do 10 completely different things and they've got to do all 10 to a very high standard. Now, he or she doesn't have to be the best in the world at all 10 disciplines, but they have to be very good at all of them. This then gave rise to what Peter Attia now calls the Centenarian Decathlon. But what is the Centenarian Decathlon? We will all, at some point, enter our marginal decade. What is it that we want to do? What is it that we want to do well for those last 10 years? Now, it may be, as I said earlier, to be able to do all the things needed for me to carry on scuba diving. Or it could be as simple as being able to use the steps to get into the pool so you can carry on playing with your grandkids. Sticking with children, playing with them, as opposed to watching them play, are two completely different things. So Peter Attia recommends choosing 10 things that you want to be able to do and do well in your last 10 years. As he says, death is inevitable, despite what Brian Johnson says, as is our physical decline. But the rate of our decline can, he says, be mitigated against through things like endurance, strength, movement capacity, cardiovascular capacity, balance, etc. Now, one thing that I think is key to mention here is the difference between exercise and training. Peter Attia talks about training for our marginal decade and not just exercising for it. The difference between exercise and training lies in the intent, the structure, and the long-term goal behind the physical activity that we're actually doing. Whereas exercise is physical activity done for the sake of movement itself. It's typically about immediate benefits, such as feeling better, burning calories, or even relieving stress. Its purpose? General health, enjoyment, or stress relief. And there is no systematic plan for improving. So going for a jog, attending a fitness class, or lifting weights without a program, even walking the dog. Let's take walking the dog. If you walk the dog for half an hour and you cover, say, a mile, you don't have a plan to walk the dog within 6 months and cover that mile in, say, 15 or 20 minutes. Let's take a look now at training. This has a structured process aimed at improving specific physical qualities over time, such as strength, endurance, or speed. It involves progressive overload, periodization, and also it has measurable goals. Periodization involves varying the intensity, the volume, and the type of exercise across a defined time period to prevent plateaus, reduce the risk of overtraining, and also to optimize your long-term goals or your long-term gains. Training also has defined performance outcomes. Training also has progression so that each session builds on the last, heading towards your final goal. For example, a 20-week marathon plan, a strength training cycle, or a VO2 max improvement protocol. That said, exercising is far better than doing nothing at all. So what are my 10 activities? Well, I took my 10 from Peter Attia, and I'm going to mention what his are, and then mine, and then I'll expand on why they're relevant to longevity. His first one is to hike 1.5 miles, that's 2.4 kilometers, on a hilly trail. Now, here where I live, there are hills, there is hilly terrain, but to get there, I would need to drive, and I would have to do that kind of exercise all on my own. Hill walking, as such, is not a pastime here in the Philippines, so I will substitute that with the ruck run that I currently do. But why ruck run? Why not just run? Well, ruck running combines weighted backpack training with jogging, and it offers unique longevity benefits. It does this by engaging multiple muscle groups and adding resistance. It enhances cardiovascular endurance, it enhances muscular strength, and also helps with bone density. This low-cost exercise also improves posture, core stability, and joint resilience. The added load also increases a bonus of calorie burn and metabolic activity. All these support having a healthy body composition. Over time, ruck running promotes physical resilience, it delays age-related decline, and supports a longer, more active life. Now, we all know this as extending our health span. Second for Peter Attia is to be able to get up off the floor using a maximum of one arm for support. Now, I can do it without using any of my arms at the moment, which I will still aim to achieve, but I know this will become more difficult as I do get older. Being able to get up off the floor using one arm for support is a powerful indicator of longevity. It reflects strong lower body strength, core stability, flexibility, balance, and also coordination. This ability reduces our risk of falls, it promotes independence, and signals robust musculoskeletal health. Studies link this simple movement to lower mortality rates, making it a practical and reliable measure of functional fitness and healthy aging as we go through life. Next on his list is being able to pick up a 30-pound child, that's around 13.5 kilos, off the floor. This one again, I'm going to keep. Picking up a 30-pound child from the floor demonstrates vital strength, joint mobility, and also balance. This movement supports and maintains our functional independence and protects us against injury. Regular lifting of moderate loads also promotes bone density, cardiovascular health, and metabolic function, all of which contribute to increased longevity and what we call active aging. Fourth on his list of events for the Centenarian Decathlon is carrying. Specifically, being able to carry 2 5-pound bags of groceries, that's around 22 kilos, for 5 blocks. And in the USA, one city block is around 80 meters, so 400 meters in total. That's once around a standard Olympic running track. This one I'm going to keep, although I'll probably end up carrying kettlebells as opposed to bags of groceries. This activity demonstrates functional strength, grip endurance, and also cardiovascular capacity. This everyday task engages your core, your arms, your legs, and it promotes joint health and metabolic function. Maintaining this ability supports independence, it reduces our risk of falls, and reflects overall physical resilience, all critical factors in healthy aging and also longevity. His next activity is being able to lift a 20-pound suitcase onto an overhead compartment in a plane. That's 20 pounds is around 9.7 kilos. Lifting a 20-pound suitcase into an overhead compartment requires upper body strength, shoulder mobility, and also core stability. This action reflects musculoskeletal health, coordination, and also our functional independence. Maintaining this ability helps prevent injury, supports our posture, and indicates overall healthy aging. It also promotes long-term autonomy, a key factor in longevity and also in maintaining our quality of life. Now, I'm going to keep this in. I'm more than happy at the moment to help other people to do this on a plane. I'm not sure that my male ego will be happy come the day when I'm going to actually need help to do this too. And number 6 on his list is being able to balance on one leg for 30 seconds with his eyes open. And as a bonus, doing it for 15 seconds with your eyes closed. This I think I'm definitely going to keep. Balancing on one leg for 30 seconds with eyes open demonstrates coordination, lower body strength, and neuromuscular control. This ability is linked to a reduced risk of falls, improved joint stability, and also brain health. It also reflects healthy aging, as balance tends to decline with age, making this a key marker for longevity. Now, with your eyes closed is significantly more challenging. You should try it after you watch the video. It reflects advanced neuromuscular control, proprioception, and brain-body communication. Proprioception is your body's ability to sense its position, movement, and balance in space without actually needing to look. This skill, either with your eyes open or closed, indicates strong sensory integration and a healthy nervous system. Next on his list is having sex. Definitely on my list too. Having sex supports longevity by improving cardiovascular health, boosting your immune function, and also reducing stress. It promotes hormone balance, strengthens emotional bonds, and enhances your sleep quality. Regular sexual activity is also linked to a lower risk of heart disease and improved overall well-being as you age, and obviously it feels good too. At number 8 is to climb 4 flights of stairs in 3 minutes. Again, I think I'm going to keep this one. Also, climbing 4 flights of stairs in 3 minutes shows strong cardiovascular fitness, strong leg strength, and also good lung capacity. This ability is linked to lower mortality risk, better heart health, and functional independence, making this another practical marker for longevity and also healthy aging. And number 9 is still being able to open a jar. Now, this seems like an easy one, so I'm going to keep this one too. Opening a jar requires grip strength, wrist stability, and also forearm coordination. This simple task reflects healthy muscle function, joint integrity, and our nervous system efficiency. Maintaining grip strength is strongly linked to low mortality risk and is a key predictor of overall health and longevity as we age. The last one on his list is to do 30 consecutive jump rope skips. This I am not going to do. Now, when I boxed in the army, one thing I hated doing was skipping. When I took up CrossFit, I did kind of get back into it, but I do have an old Achilles tendon injury, and if I do skip regularly, this does flare up very quickly. So instead, I'm going to aim to do 15 consecutive box jumps. Skipping and box jumping are both high intensity, plyometric movements that require coordination, strength, and also cardiovascular effort. Both help maintain cardiovascular health, bone density, and joint health, as well as muscle power, coordination, and neuroplasticity. So those are the 10 that I'm going to include in my Centenarian Decathlon. Let me know, do you have a similar set of activities that you're training for? Or is exercise enough for you? And is exercise enough for you and your longevity journey?